Hi, I'm Johnny. This is Johnny Likes, the show where I talk about movies that I like. Happy Halloween, everybody. What's the most Halloween movie out there? Is it Hocus Pocus? Is it Rocky Horror Picture Show? Is it Halloween or Halloween 3? No, I don't think it is. The movie that manages to pack the most amount of Halloween spirit into a motion picture is actually a Robert Altman style horror movie that went straight to DVD and came out in 2009. Today, Johnny Likes Trick or Treat.
You tell him, Johnny. You tell the world.
Trick or Treat takes place on Halloween and tells 5 different stories that roughly overlap and intersect together to varying degrees. These stories include a gluttonous Herman Merman.
Who the fuck is Thurman? Is that you? Is your name Thurman?
Yeah.
Thurman Merman?
That can't be good for your diabetes, Charlie.
Little Red Riding Hood trying to lose her V card. An on-the-spectrum witch going on a field trip with the mean girl and her friends. Brian Cox is John Carpenter defending his property. And a young woman learning the hard way why you respect Halloween traditions.
Ancient tradition?
Henry, it's Halloween, not Hanukkah. Baby, I'm lit, and you're lit.
honey,
Our little friend here, this night's over.
This was written and directed by Michael Dougherty. It was based off of a short film that he did called Season's Greetings, which was also the film's original title, but the studio didn't like that, thought it sounded too Christmassy, so they made them change it to something else. That's how you come up with Trick or Treat. The set design, costuming, and attention to detail are what really makes this film stand out among the crowd. It's what gives it the special atmosphere that it has. It seemed as if the crew probably had a really good time making this movie. I could be just extrapolating and they were all miserable doing it, but to me it seemed like it shone through in the details. Whenever possible, they seem to include a reference to a real-life movie, a callback to something else that happens in the script, or just a little inside joke. Here's a little example of some of the detail. The kids see somebody they know when they're trick-or-treating in a hot dog costume getting kind of randy with a woman in a pig costume. And they make a lewd comment out of it.
Was. Coach Taylor was in a hot dog costume, but fucking a pig.
And many minutes later in the film, we see a dead guy in a hot dog costume. It's a small thing, but stuff like that kind of shows that everyone involved making the film was on the same page. And I don't think you really get that when you don't want to be there. I love this kind of attention to detail that encourages and rewards rewatches. Even if you don't particularly enjoy this movie, you still have to respect the level of craftsmanship that's on display here. This movie takes a page out of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre school of filmmaking. The blood and guts are nearly all implied on this. There are no actual deaths on screen. Every murder is implied but not shown. Sometimes it happens just off camera, but you never actually see the moment of death. We do get a little bit of violence and gore, but even that's pretty mild. And I'm not sure if this was a conscious choice by the filmmaker, or if it was the studio pushing to get a PG-13 rating. I think it does end up working in the film's favor, either way. And by the way, this film did end up getting an R rating in the States and only a 14A in Canada. And so even if the studio's goal was to get a lesser rating, it ended up kind of being a moot point because they ended up shoving it straight to DVD anyway. It didn't even get a theatrical release. The result is that this movie ends up being perfect for kids who have maybe outgrown stuff like Hocus Pocus or Goosebumps, but aren't quite ready for something like Saw. It's scary and brutal enough without being nightmare-inducing for the squeamish or the youngins. In other words, it's a perfect gateway horror film. I forgot to say that this movie is also funny. It's not laugh-out-loud funny, but there is an impish streak that runs through it. Think something like Drag Me to Hell or maybe Scream. It's mostly situational humor, but there were some jokes and a little bit of zingers. And the humor also lends to it being more palatable for those who aren't maybe huge horror fans, or who are in that in-between phase. This is, after all, much like Halloween, supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be this traumatic experience. The acting in this was competent, but nothing special, either in that it was so bad or that it was so good. Except for maybe the guy who played the principal. Shout out to that actor. He managed to be both creepy and non-threatening at the same time, and I expect that's easier said than done. The special effects in this were decent enough. It was a mixture of practical and CG, with the CG being there mostly just to augment the practical stuff. But this was filmed in the mid-2000s, and it didn't have the biggest budget, so it's not exactly a seamless blend of digital and analog. But it was good enough for me to not really complain. I love the vibe or atmosphere or tone, whatever you want to call it, that this movie had going for it. And I really appreciated all the little elements that I catch a little bit more each time I see it. All those little details that I was kind of talking about. But I don't really want to show too many of them because they're part of the fun of the movie. And they are kind of spoilerish once I show them. And if there's a movie out there that better encapsulates the spirit of Halloween, I haven't seen it. I'm not sure what I would change in order to bump this up to a 5. More gore, more nudity, darker tone, even more dense and intertwining stories. If you give it a darker tone, it's not as much fun. Give it more nudity or gore, and it risks becoming more exploitative than it kind of needs to be. Make it more dense, and you risk it becoming harder to follow. So I don't quite know how to make it a perfect film, but I do know that it's not quite there. And so I'm going to give Trick or Treat a 4.25 out of 5. And thanks for watching me talk about movies for a little while, and you can tune in next time to see what else Johnny likes.